Hi there, this is Simon Bennett from Daslight, and throughout the next few months we're going to be doing a few video tutorials to help you get you used to the new Daslight 4 software. So basically this is just a really quick video tutorial I thought I'd record just to help you get started in case you've never seen Daslight before. Or perhaps you're an existing DVC2 or DVC3 user, or even a DVC1 user, and you're looking to see what's new and to see, if it's worth upgrading. So, this is just a quick 15-minute overview. So, let's start up here. We got the Mac version up here, by the way. This is for Mac and PC now. What we've done is we've completely overhauled the interface, but at the same time we've tried to keep everything in the same place. So if you just go up here, we've got the patch tab. Here we've got the same SSL profiles as before. So for those of you who are not familiar with Daslight, basically an SSL profile is a little profile that you have for every different type of lighting fixture. So for example, if you have a lighting fixture by American DJ, you can just type in American DJ here, hit enter, and it will filter basically. In fact, it's going to filter all the fixtures we have in our library with the name American DJ. And if we have, let's say, a Mega Tri bar, I can type Mega Tri, and it's going to have this here. Or perhaps a Intimidator. And it's basically just going to throw up all the profiles we've got up in our library here. We do provide a free service, by the way, for making profiles. So if you own a Daslight product and you've got a fixture and it's not in our library, basically you can just log in via our web store, and there's a little button called Request SSL Profile, and you can just send us over the manual and we'll sort that out for you. So there's no problem getting your lighting fixtures in. So what I'm going to do just for the example is open this first menu here called Generic. And these just have some general fixtures you can use for testing. So for example, we've got single channel, which is great for par cans, or an RGB, just if you have a basic 3-channel lighting fixture. So what I'm going to do just for this example is I'm going to add 4 moving heads. So what I do is I click the moving head here, and then on the right we've got our patch grid. Now we have 512 channels because there are 512 channels in a DMX universe. So I can drag this moving head and I can drop it over to channel 1. Now as you see, 18 of these channels have turned light grey, and that's because this moving head takes up 18 channels. Now if I drop this, we'll be able to see exactly what these channels are down here. So we've got some channels for pan and tilt here. Channels 5 to 7, we've got some colour mixing, iris, dimmer, all sorts. So that's basically how you patch a lighting fixture. And now Daslight knows that you have this particular moving head, it knows what DMX address it's patched to, and it knows all the information about the moving head. What I'm going to do is patch another 3. I can patch several fixtures at once down here. You see where it says number of fixtures. If I just change that to 3 and press patch, now you see another 3 fixtures have been added, so we've got 4 fixtures in total now. And you probably noticed these 4 little squares appearing down here. This is actually the fixture window, and this will display a little square to represent each light that you're using in Daslight. So that's all for the setup. If we head over to Editor, this is where our scenes are built. So a scene is like a program. A scene can store a static value. For example, it could switch your lights on, or it could turn your lights to blue. Or a scene can also contain several steps which make up an effect. So for example, you could have a rainbow effect where the colours are changing, or you could have a circle effect where your lights are moving around the room. So basically in Daslight, all your programs are called scenes. So if we click this first scene here, and at the moment all our channels are set to 0, we can move them up and down like this. What I'm going to do is click this button here. This is really important. This basically shows the light beam. So if I click here, what it's basically done is it's opened the dimmer, It's opened the iris. And I think this one's a zoom channel or something like this. Yeah, this is a zoom channel. So basically, Daslight knows all about your lighting fixture. It knows which channels it needs to set so you can actually see a light beam. We do also have a 3D visualizer in Daslight. So to open this, we can just go Tools and 3D Visualizer. Just wait for that to load. Okay, so here you see our 4 moving heads in the visualizer. I'll just make this a little bit smaller so I can kind of keep it out of the way. What I'm going to do is pop that down here. You can move these lights around the fixture window as well, so I can drag them over here, for example. Okay, so now I've got my 4 lights here. If I press this button here, it will put them in the center. So that can basically be our first scene. And the scene's over here, so we can switch it on and off. And our scene properties are over to the right here. So here's where we can kind of set all the information about a scene. So if I double click here, I can call this, for example, beam on. And you've got loads of other options here. We'll go into more detail in future tutorials, but you can map a keyboard shortcut, a DMX shortcut, or even a MIDI shortcut. So if you've got a USB MIDI console, you can go ahead and connect that to your computer. And you can pretty much map MIDI buttons and faders to dimmers and scene triggers and things like this. So that is the scenes. We can go and create another scene. So maybe in this scene I want to create a circle effect. So again I can switch the beam on here. And this time I'm going to go down here to where it says effects. And this is basically where all the effects are created. I'll just move this over here. In Daslight we've got 4 different types of effects. Again, I'll go into more detail about them later, but this one allows you to create different curves. This one allows you to connect a movement effect. If you want to create a circle, for example. So yeah, let's do that now. So if I click circle, so the lights will start moving in a circle here. And then we have several different kinds of parameters. So I could add some phasing. This is going to add a little delay. And once we're happy with the effect, we can just click this generate button down here. Now we can either create it in a brand new scene, or we can create it in the existing scene that we have selected here. So that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm just going to uncheck that box and click generate on the current step. And now if you have a look over to the right, this is all the information about the scene required to reproduce the effect. So you see we've got a whole load of steps here, like 100 different steps, and that's basically going to create our movement effect. Another great little feature is groups. So this is called group 1 up here. If I press this little plus, I can create a brand new group of scenes, and I can double click to call this one color effects, like so. And basically groups can be stacked together. So if I click this first scene, let's call this one rainbow, for example. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select my beam on scene. I'll just play that. And then I'm going to select the rainbow scene here. I'm going to go down here, back to my effects window, and this is the button we can press to create different color effects. So if I click here, the default's rainbow. So we've got our beam on scene here, and we can generate this rainbow in this scene here. So if we just click generate, again it's generated all the steps required. So what I can do now is, if I go over to the live screen, this is kind of where we run our show. I've got one button to switch the beams on, and another button to generate the rainbow. I could also trigger my movement scene. So now I've got a scene that's playing movements and playing rainbow at the same time. So this is basically the live screen, and this is where you can control your live show. Now in these buttons we've got these little arrows, and what this is going to do is expand the scene, so we can change the speed or even change the dimmer. And if I press it again, it's going to go to a minimize mode, which is going to make the scenes really small. In the next update, by the way, we're going to have some buttons up the top here which can minimize all the scenes within a group. By the time you watch this tutorial, you'll probably see this feature. So we've got a load of other options here, such as audio triggering, BPM tap, live scenes, but we'll jump into all that kind of stuff in future tutorials. The other thing I wanted to mention in this tutorial is the brand new show mode. Now show mode lets you design a completely customized screen. And basically all you have to do is hold Alt and click anywhere in the software and it will add that component to your live screen. So for example, if I go over to show mode, you see this area is completely empty. Now if we go back to live mode, if I Alt and click or Option click this scene and Alt and click this scene and then go back to show mode, now we have two scenes in show mode. We've got our movement scene and we've got our rainbow scene. And the great thing about show mode is if I just go over to the top right here, I can unlock it and actually move these buttons around. So I could have these like this, and it's not only scene buttons you can add to show mode, you can also add colour wheels, pan and tilt grids, whatever you like. So for example, if I go down to the palette here, this shows kind of all the gobos, shutters, colour wheels and things like that. If I Alt and click this palette, it's also going to add a colour wheel. And again I can move this around. And then what you can do is you can take this show mode and by clicking up here you can actually put the show mode in full screen. If you don't want it in full screen, you can just leave it like this. You can undock the show mode and put it on a second monitor to use it at the same time as live mode. And what you can also do, if you download our Easy Remote app for iPhone, iPad or Android, tablets and smartphones, this will actually appear on your smartphone or tablet. So all you've got to do is make sure your laptop and your smartphone or tablet is connected to the same Wi-Fi network. And as soon as you start the Easy Remote app, you will basically see the screen on your tablet. And what you can do is you can zoom in and out. So as you see, the area is quite big here for a smartphone. It would look great on a tablet, but on a smartphone maybe these would be a little bit too small. So I can go down here and I can just scale it to reduce the boundaries. And now these buttons are going to appear a lot bigger on the smartphone. We've also got some presets here for the general devices, so you can get your resolutions and ratios right, or you can type it here. So basically that's an overview on how to create an effect after adding a light, play it live, see it in the 3D visualizer, and then actually control it from the show mode or from your smartphone or tablet. Just one other little thing I wanted to mention just before we finish is this new dialog we got here. If we go over to the Preferences dialog, this basically allows you to manage your MIDI and your DMX devices. For those of you who are familiar with Daslight earlier versions, you might remember there were a lot of different dialogues and settings windows to handle your MIDI and your DMX. Well, this is now in one simple window. So if you head over to devices here, if you've got a Daslight device or one of the touch controllers, they'll appear in the list here. And you can select and unselect them and then just click OK. So if you're ever having problems detecting your devices and you've not got any DMX output or you're not sure if Daslight's recognise the device or not, this is the place where you need to go. And if Daslight's recognised the device and it's using the device, it'll be listed just here with a little checkbox. So that's all for now, and I hope to see you soon.